from Pennsylvania, Mr. Rothfus.
Thank you, Chairman. Chair Yellen, I just want to touch on one thing, following up on Mr. Mulvaney's question. I think you testified with respect to needing legal authority in the event that the Fed wanted to purchase corporate equities. Is that right?
Yes. I said we do not have legal
You do not
authority.
have, so you would need additional legal before you
right.
did something. What, the same hold true for corporate bonds?
Yes, we cannot purchase corporate bonds.
I wanted to take a few minutes to address some of the issues that I raised in my letter to you earlier this week. I'm concerned about the level of influence that the FSB has on the FSOC SIFI designation process. In a letter in February 2015 to the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors, Mark Carney, the FSB chair, made clear that member governors had an, quote, ongoing commitment to implement FSB's policies, and that, quote, full, consistent, and prompt implementation was essential. Though some may dismiss this as inconsequential prose, evidence suggests that FSOC operates in the spirit of Mr. Carney's words. 3 U.S.-based insurers that the FSB identified as GSIIs have also been designated by FSOC for Fed supervision. With that in mind, I wanted to ask you a few specific questions about the relationship between FSB and FSOC decision-making. What is the role of the U.S. members of the FSB in considering whether to designate U.S. insurance companies under the GSII process?
Well, a number of agencies take part in the FSB. The Federal Reserve, the Treasury, and the SEC are all members of the FSB and engage in their work.
Under the FSB charter, member countries commit to implement international financial standards. What steps has the U.S. taken to implement FSB's designation of U.S. insurance companies, AIG, Prudential, and MetLife, as systemically important?
Well, none, because the FSB designations have no impact in the United States, and the United States has to go through its own rulemaking process. The FSOC analysis is completely separate and focused on slightly different things than the FSB analysis, and they're entirely separate processes.
Did the Federal Reserve support the FSB's designation of Prudential and MetLife as GSSIs before FSOC had designated them?
The Federal Reserve only joined the IAIS that played a role here in 2013, and to the best of my knowledge, we didn't participate in their analysis that were the basis for some of the original designations.
But the Federal Reserve does participate with the FSB, yes?
We do participate in the FSB.
And in the process of the FSB designating these as GSSIs, what would the Federal Reserve's position have been?
I believe that I have to check this out, but I believe that the FSOC designations of these firms occurred before the the designations by the FSB, but I have to look at that more carefully.
Yeah, we want to follow up on that, because my understanding is that it happened, the FSB designated them, and then FSOC went and designated them. You know, because it seems that if you agree to designate a U.S. company as globally significant under the FSB regime, that would end up influencing that the company is going to be designated as systemically important within the United States. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, as I said, the FSOC process is separate, and I believe that the FSOC designations took place before the list of GSIIs was put out.
Could an FSB GSII designation be considered an, quote, other risk-related factor under Section 113 of the Dodd-Frank Act?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Could an FSB GSII designation, if the FSB designates an insurance company as a GSSII, could that designation be considered an other risk-related factor under Section 113 of the Dodd-Frank Act?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Time of the gentleman